Hello, welcome back to our tutorial series for Node and Express.js on Turbo 360. In the previous video, we set up a very simple project from scratch and set up the first request response handler on our Node Express application. In this video, we're going to continue that out a little bit and build out a few more response types, as well as structure our application a little bit more modularly, so that it looks more and more like a standard project. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up the code from the previous video. And let's go ahead and run the code to make sure everything still works. So here is the terminal. I am in the root directory, and we're going to do node index. And then head over to localhost 3000 to make sure everything still works, which it does. So that's great. Go ahead and turn off the server by doing Control-C. Excuse me. And then here is the index file showing all the code we did last time. So basically all the action is happening right here in between lines 5 and 7. So what I want to do next is show a couple different kind of response types. So let's go ahead and copy these 3 lines and then paste it beneath the first handler. I'm going to extend the path a little bit. It's called the path. So I want to say JSON. And then in this handler, instead of sending back a string, we're going to send back a JSON object. So this is for if you want to send back just raw data to the browser or whoever is making the request. It might be an iPhone or an Android app or something like that. So the way we do that is we create a data object. And this is just a set of key value pairs. So let's say key, and then, or let's say greeting, hello. And then in the response, instead of send, we just say JSON, and then we pass in the data object into the actual response handler. So this time, when I go back and run the server, node index, I still have the original handler set up, but now keep in mind we added another path called /JSON. So if I do localhost 3000 /JSON, I will now get the JSON response that I set up over here. So that's another type of response that is very typical in a Node Express application. And in another type of response is a rendering actual HTML content. So that takes a little bit more pieces to connect. So what we want to do is we want to create HTML templates or pages and then render those pages. However, we want to do that using what's called a templating engine. And the reason we use templating engines is so that we can inject data into those HTML templates and then render data dynamically. So we're going to go ahead and do that by setting up our templates directory, or sometimes it's called the views directory, and then connecting our templating engine to render these pages. So let's go ahead and do that first. First thing we want to do is turn off the server. And then I'm going to create a new directory inside the project called views. And that's going to be right here. And there it is. And inside the views directory is where we're going to store our HTML pages, or sometimes referred to as templates. So we want to create a template. Let's call it home.mustache. And it's going to be .mustache because we're using the mustache templating engine. But this is just a regular HTML file, so you don't have to look at it any different than that. So inside here we have our home.mustache. So I'm just going to create HTML tags. Whoops. right there. Okay, so here is our basic HTML for the home template. And so now what we want to do is render this template um, using our templating engine. So we can't quite do that yet because we don't have the templating engine properly installed. So we want to do that next. So in order to do that, we need to set the views directory, and then we need to install the templating engine, and then set the templating engine. So let's do that in that sequence. So let's set the views directory. So what we need to do is import the path module, which is a built-in module, so there's no need to npm install it. And then we're going to set the views directory to this directory right here. So we do app.set, and then we're specifying the views directory. And then we're using the path module to get the current location, the current directory location. And then that's this right here. And then views. So this right here is referring to this folder right here. So we're now telling the Express application to use the views directory to find the necessary templates. So that has now been connected. So now what we need to do is install the templating engine. And that's going to be a module, an npm module. So you open up your terminal, and we do npm install hjs. So this stands for Hogan.js, and then don't forget to do save like that. And then we need to install Hogan middleware. And this will enable us to use the Mustache templating engine. It's a little bit confusing because the namings don't match up, but this will enable us to use the Mustache templating engine. So now what we want to do is connect the templating engine by setting the view engine of the application. So we go back to app and then set, and now we're setting the view engine, which is really the templating engine. Same difference. And then what we want to do is specify the Mustache templating engine. And then last but not least, we have to specify the Hogan middleware, which enables the Mustache templating engine to be properly used. So that's going to be right here. And then we require the Hogan middleware library, specifically the Express configuration, and I spelled that engine wrong, so make sure we catch that. And this should be good for now. So now what we've done here in these 3 lines is we've set the views directory to this folder right here. We set the view engine to be Mustache, and then we specified the Hogan middleware for the Express configuration. This part is probably the most confusing, but don't worry about that. For now, this is just what we need to connect the Mustache templating engine. So now what we can do is render this home Mustache template by creating a separate route just for that. So let's go ahead and create a new route. Call it home. And just like the other ones, it takes a function argument, which has rec, res, and next. And this time, the res is not going to be send or JSON, it's going to be render. And the render function takes 2 arguments, the template and some data. Now we're not going to pass in any data, so just put in null for now, because we can just leave it alone. Here, we enter the template name, which we only have one template, which is home, so we can just enter home. Excuse me. Enter home like that, and this will then route to the views directory, grab the home.mustache file, and then render this HTML, hopefully. So let's go ahead and try that. So we go back here and we do node index. Head over to localhost 3000. Here is the first route. Here is the JSON route. And then let's try the home route. And here we go. So here we have successfully connected the application, the Express application, to the views directory, and then the Mustache templating engine with the Hogan middleware properly specified. Another way we could have done this on line 7 is Hogan and just require it up here, which is probably more typical, to be honest. So we can do that and then grab the reference, the Hogan middleware, and then do this like so. This might be slightly more conventional in terms of notation, so you might see it that way instead. So I'm going to turn off the server and then run it again. And then here it is. So everything still works fine. So that's good for now. We connected the view engine as well as set the templates directory, and we showed 3 common types of responses that you see in a Node Express application. There are a few others, but these are by far the most common. So in the next video, we're going to continue building out the basic structure of the project a little bit more by adding an area for static files, so CSS, JavaScript,